Hello kids, today I am telling you the bedtime story of Rapunzel. Long time ago, there was a German man and his wife had longed for a child for a very long time. But the wife was weak and frail. What she needed were some special herbs to restore her health. One day in a neighboring garden, the young wife saw some large clumps of herbs known as rampions, which in German are called Rapunzel. But the garden belonged to a witch and nobody dared enter it. The wife was afraid to tell her husband of her desire to eat the rampions, but he noticed that she was becoming thinner and paler every day. He began to worry. What is wrong, my dear? He asked. You see those rampions in the garden next door? Well, I must eat some to recover my health, or else I might die. Her husband was very alarmed. He decided to go into the witch's garden to fetch some rampions. That very evening, he stole some leaves, which his wife ate with much pleasure. But her longing only increased. Her husband had to return to the garden again the following night. This time, the furious witch found him there. How dare you enter my garden without my permission? She cried. The poor man then explained, I have come into your garden because I love my wife. If she does not eat these rampions, she will be able to have any children and she may even die. This explanation calmed the witch and she said, very well, I give you my permission to come and get as many rampions as you like. On one condition, you must give me your first child. The poor, desperate husband had to accept. A few years later, faithful to their promise, they gave the witch their firstborn child, a very pretty little girl. The witch took her away and called her Rapunzel after the rampions her mother had eaten. When Rapunzel grew up, she was truly beautiful, but the wicked witch decided to lock her in a tower. So she did not want to lose her to a handsome young man. The tower was far, far away, anywhere. The tower was far from anywhere. There was no door, only a little window, right at the top. To enter the tower, the old witch would call to the young girl, Rapunzel. My young girl, Rapunzel, my pretty, let down your long hair. And the young girl, having plaited her beautiful long hair, let it tumble out of the window. The witch could then climb up her hair. One day, the king's son was passing by and he heard Rapunzel singing at the top of the tower. He stopped and listened, spellbound by her beautiful voice. He had been listening to her song for a while when he saw the old witch. Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let down your long hair, she called out. Rapunzel let down her plait, and the prince could just see her as she leaned out of her window. He was dazzled by her beauty and promised himself that he would come back to see the young girl again. He put his plan into action that very evening. At the foot of the tower, he called out to Rapunzel, copying the voice of the old witch. Without suspecting, Suspecting, Rapunzel let down her long hair and the prince climbed up and leaped through the window. At first, she was terrified, but when the prince told her how much he admired her, Rapunzel realized he was a friend. She thought he was very kind and very handsome, and they soon fell deeply in love. The prince returned every evening. I would like to marry you and take you far away to my kingdom, he told Rapunzel one day. They agreed that the prince would return the following night with some long silk ropes, which they would use to climb down from the tower. Unfortunately, the following day Rapunzel innocently asked the witch, "Why does it take you so long to climb up to my window when the prince is so quick and so light?" Furious, furious, the witch shouted in a threatening voice, "So, you have seen a young man when I forbade you to speak to anyone. Since you have disobeyed me, I am going to take since you have disobeyed me, I am going to take you away from here, and you will never see him again." That same evening, the old witch hid herself at the bottom of the tower and waited. When the prince arrived with the silk ropes, he found himself face to face with the wicked witch. With an evil cackle, she told him, "You will never see Rapunzel again, and you will be blind for the rest of your life." From that moment on, the helpless prince was blind. All he could do was wander over mountains in search of his beloved Rapunzel. One that day, she was singing and he recognized her beautiful voice and called out to her. Rapunzel ran towards him and threw herself into his arms. Her joyful tears fell onto the prince's eyes, and immediately he could see again. He took her to his castle where they were married and lived happily ever after. Good night, kids. Have a nice dream.